back in the silver and black. The way they played against San Diego today, you never would have known the Chargers were the lone unbeaten AFC team left. This exhibition was just one-sided all the way, all L.A. That is Jay Schrader to Vance Mueller, wide open. First of 2 TD tosses for Schrader. It was 14-0 L.A., and they would get more. The give goes to Greg Bell, acquired from the Crosstown Rams in the offseason. The Raiders are loaded at running back. Marcus Allen, of course, Bo Jackson arriving soon, 27 yards, as Bell puts them up 24-7 on Dan Henning's team. Billy Joe Tolliver, a rough day in the pocket as he gets sandwiched for a little migraine headache there, courtesy Mike Wise. And then in the fourth, the first play from scrimmage, Devon Adams gets the ball from Vince Evans, a little juggling act. He's
all over the country. We were even calling them, some of us were America's team, by the way they kept coming back and winning late. One game which they made a great comeback but didn't win was against the Rams. They trailed 31-7 at the half, rallied only to lose 41-38. But all that magic was with the magic man, Don Mikowski. He didn't start today because of his long holdout. It was Anthony Dilweg. But what we found out was there's more magic than Mikowski in the Packers' bag of tricks. Opening day at Lambeau Field. The Tundra wasn't frozen, and if they didn't sign Mikowski, that would have been Tom Bratz. John Mikowski on the sideline. Tony Mandarin, the Michelin man in the lineup. Kurt Warner is a Ram. And Kurt, he can cut.
You know, no matter what uniform you put him in, he's always had the great vision and the great cutback ability. Here you see him plant, find the seam coming back toward the line of scrimmage, and then he has that skip that'll get him by 3 or 4 people into the end zone.
Touchdown Warner, 7-0 Rams. Packers make some good defensive plays.
Timmy Harris, outstanding all-pro. Here he occupies the blocking back, just kind of crushes the back to the ground.
2nd and 13. Here comes the blitz, and Harris sacks Jim Everett. Got the 6 guns going. Got the crowd going. Second quarter, the Pack punts on 4th down. Special teams, credit the punter. Look at Brackett, and then the nice, soft fairway of Lambeau Field lays it up nicely. There should be just a 10-foot birdie putt. 2nd and 9 from the 2. Everett looking for the end zone to Pat Carter. He is swarmed on by Harris and Jerry Holmes. So now it's 3rd and 8 from the 3. Everett's going to throw it. Pumps, throws left, picked off by Mark Murphy. He's down to the 4-yard line. The Packers in business, 1st and goal. Next play, the young man from Duke, Anthony Dilweg, getting the start. 2nd year, play action, half roll. Go west, young man. Go west to Ed West, the tight end. Touchdown. We're tied at 7. When the Packers leading 10-7 at the 2-minute warning, here come the fireworks. Everett looking deep. They call him Flipper. Flipper. It's 40 yards. Flipper Anderson, a touchdown. 14-10 the Rams. Does the Pack roll over? No way. There's Flipper's numbers. There's Everett's numbers. 340-yard day. But at times, didn't look like the Jim Everett we've come to love the last couple years. Dewey from the shotgun to the mercurial Jeff Query. Touchdown. Pack comes back 17-14 Pack at the half. We talked about Tony Mandarich. Tommy, how'd he do?
We'll have to start talking about improvement of Tony Mandarich. His feet are better. You see he can get his hands on people. And here, when it's run blocking, he's always been a great run blocker with his size and strength.
Yeah, and you know it says, thank you, Vince Workman, my way back to you, babe. On this big run, it's 31 yards. With a burning love inside. Look at him churn it up. With a score 20-17 Pack. Dilweg. Workman with protection. He goes west again, young man. Ed West, 2nd touchdown, 7 yards. The Pack lead it 27-17. Turnovers killed the Rams on this afternoon. Everett to Henry Eller. Mark Lee strips him of the ball. Jerry Holmes, I think he's played in every league but the Whipple, makes the recovery. Everett to Ellert again. It's a fumble. And again, it's that man, Jerry Holmes. Brings it all the way down to the 4-yard line. The Rams offense committed 5 turnovers. Not the type of offense John Robinson has devised. Late in the 4th, Everett completed 5 for 5 in this drive. The touchdown goes to Pete Holohan, but it's still a 33-24 Packer lead. And in case the Rams were thinking about coming back, no, sir. Dilweg on the keeper. Chris Jackie has a field goal. And the Packers beat the the Los Angeles Rams. Thanks to that man, Anthony Dilweg, and they're doing the Lindy Gatorade style in Green Bay. The Packers beat the Rams by the count of 36-24. An impressive win for the Green Bay Packers, and not an impressive... Reading, don't mind me. The Raiders and the Denver Broncos met at the Los Angeles Mausoleum, a place that's been very kind to new Raiders head coach Art Shell. 6-0 the Raiders were in the L.A. Coliseum last year under Shell. And only one team had a better opening day record than the Raiders since the AFL began, AFC began, really. That's the Denver Broncos, and that's who came a-knocking today at the Coliseum. Broncos and the Raiders from Los Angeles, where, yeah, you could get a seat. Good to see Dan Reeves back on the sidelines, although with 100-degree heat, he wasn't necessarily feeling so comfortable. Elway looking to the end zone for Clarence K. Jerry Robinson breaks it up, saves the TD, set up for a Treadwell field goal, 3-0 Broncos. Tom Benson stops Bobby Humphrey dead on his track. Next play, Elway throws for Steve Sewell. Ricky Ellison, the former 49er, with the big stick. Raiders stop Denver and force another Treadway field goal. It's good from 44 yards out. 6-0 Broncos at the half. The Heat didn't stop the game. The Broncos defense trying to keep L.A. out of the end zone. Steve Atwater. How many times did we see this last year? The big hit on Mike Dial. It's incomplete. 4th and 2, Jay Schrader. Can't find Ethan Horton. Broncos hold him on downs. Marcus Allen trying to fight the Heat. When the Broncos take over the ball. Elway to Jerry Robinson. Shades of, dare we say, is that what could employ Joe Theismann? Jet squiring. It's 7-6. Raiders, Dan Reeves can't believe it. What happened?
I think Elway just didn't see the defender. He saw Sewell. He couldn't see over him to see Robinson coming up on the play.
Well, it got worse for the Broncos. Elway to Vance Johnson. Boo-boo! Terry McDaniel scoops it up and look at him go. The guys had the angles. They couldn't get him, though. 42-yard touchdown. 14-6. The Raiders bounce ahead. 4th quarter. Broncos driving 3rd and goal. Elway has the ball swatted loose by Howie Long. He also recovers at 4th. Bronco turnover of the half. Get him some oxygen. Howie Long deserved it. Another man who needed oxygen. The man had a great preseason but struggled today. John Elway, 14 of 31, 2 INTs. Gary Kubiak came in to try and leave a last gasp drive. But Bill Pickell stops Humphrey. Turn up the fans. The fans in L.A., that is, because it's the Raiders that defeat the defending AFC champion Denver Broncos. A tough defensive game by the count of 14-9. And so a big win for the Raiders. John Elway obviously stumbled today.
Well, he had his best preseason ever, threw for 70.8% completions. But what happened today, they wanted to shorten his drop-up for the season, make it a 5-step drop instead of 7. Well, Howie Long almost personally destroyed that whole concept today. They kept pushing the pocket back in his face. He never could quite get his feet set to throw. Great defense by the Raiders, and I have no idea how they plan to keep Marcus Allen out of that lineup. I don't care who comes to that team.
Even Bo.
Even Bo.
Marcus looked good on a couple of runs, though, and the Raiders have some speed all over, both on defense and also wide receivers. Battle now 140 times in the National Football League, and I know it's only week 2. I know on the calendar says it's still summer, but in Green Bay, the temperatures were in the 50s. A touch of winter setting in on the soon-to-be frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Mike Ditka, Mike not wearing the tie this year, and again they're off to a good September start. Jim Harbaugh not playing for a tie. This time he was picked off by Jerry Holmes, who's been everywhere the first 2 weeks for the Pack, returned it to the 37th. Lindy and Foddy had a tough choice, went with the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, Anthony Dilweg, over Don Mikowski, the recently signed QB. So with Dilweg on the Packers' second possession, hands the ball off. He can do that, gives it to Keith Woodside. The ref is nailed. He didn't get a good view of Woodside's 10-yard run at 7-0. Look at Brian Noble playing the tough D, tying up Neil Anderson.
And here you see Noble make the big hit on Anderson again. You know, Noble plays with such intensity. Great for a linebacker. Here you see him come up and stick. That's perfect tackling position.
What do you mean intensity for a linebacker? What would you know about that?
A little bit.
A little bit. Harbaugh at the control. Second quarter, overthrows Wendell Davis. On comes the field goal unit. Kevin Butler's going to miss the kick, but Ron Pitts is called for running into the kicker. A big, big penalty because the Bears get the first down, much to the chagrin of Lindy. 3 plays later, Neil Anderson, the pick, the scoot. It cost the Pack a touchdown, 10-7 Chicago. Bears think they've gotten off to a good defensive start. The Fridge comes through, knocks the ball loose. Trace Armstrong traces it down. Bears capitalize on the miscue. Harbaugh from 2 yards out. Gets into the end zone. Bears lead at 17-10 at the half. Second half, more trouble for Dilweg. Armstrong hits him, and there's a fumble. Jim Light My Fire Morrissey recovers for Chicago. 4 plays later, Harbaugh finds the touch and finds Ron Morris wide open. 40-yard pass. The Bears open up a 24-10 lead. Harbaugh threw only 14 times, but it helps that he completed 11 of them. Packers try to come back, but this was a day when Packer quarterbacks were sacked 6 times, were intercepted twice. This time the rookie Mark Carrier picks off Dilweg. There were his numbers. So it was time in a deep hole to turn to the Magic Man. And Don Mikowski led the Packers right down the field, but no magic today. Lemuel Stinson picks off the ball. The Bears win at 31-13, 6 sacks, 3 fumbles, 2 interceptions. That's the week after they shut out the Seattle Seahawks. They're playing defense big time. They're 2-0, beat the Packers 31-13. Falcons at the
Bad today, 13-10 in the fourth with Jay Schrader. Hooked up with Mervyn Fernandez. This one will cover 25 yards. Boy, he went up and got that thing all the way down to the 3-yard line, and Greg Bell took it from there. That made it 17-13. That is the game winner as the Raiders stop that streak. It is 17-13. The Raiders.
Team over 500 against the Raiders. You have to keep in mind that the Seahawks didn't play the Raiders way back when, as TJ pointed out earlier in the day to us. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from this ball game. Seattle fans referring to Coach Chuck Knox's weight loss of 60 pounds, but they could have been referring to Seattle's lean offense, which hasn't scored since Week 15 last season. Early was more of the same. Quarterback Dave Craig scrambles, but gets nailed by Greg Townsend. Raiders fans in Seattle, they simply love it. The Raiders offense also struggled. 3rd and goal. Marcus Allen over the top, but doesn't get in. So 4th and goal. Ball on the 1-inch line. Raiders go for it. Allen gets hit by Darren Como, and he is stopped. No, Al Davis doesn't like that, Tommy.
We caught Konski well in Denver. That was his nickname. Get over the top before the back gets over the top. Make contact. More than likely, you're going to nullify any gain he's going to get.
You got that right. It's 3-all at the half, but second half the action heats up. Townsend and Ron Heller, they exchange blows. Dave Craig, 7 for 7 in the first half, stayed hot in the second half. Seahawks opening drive in the second half. Craig hits Heller for 12 yards. Then Craig hits Jeff Chadwick for 13 more. Craig then goes to Derek Finner for 13 yards. Craig completed his first 14 passes on the day. And the big running back, John L. Williams, finishes the drive with a 2-yard run. 10-3, I like that move. 10-3 Seattle in the lead, but the Raiders come back. 3rd and 10. Jay Schrader hits Mervyn Fernandez for the touchdown. It's 10-all. A crucial play here. John L. Williams. Look at him. He goes to the corner of the end zone, sticks the ball across the line. It's not called a touchdown. The Seahawks settle for a field goal. 13-10 Seattle. But the Raiders rally. Schrader hits Fernandez, makes a spectacular catch at the 3. 2 plays later, Greg Bell goes 2 yards for the touchdown. The Raiders pick up the victory.
Why is this man, Wayne Fonts, not a happy camper? Watch Richard Johnson in the end zone. Was it a Rodney Peete to Richard Johnson 17-yard touchdown? Or was it 1, 2? Yeah, that was out. But Wayne has already had a touchdown call to get for the Lions this year. Be undone by the replay official. So he was not in a good mood in his own park. And the replay official said, no touchdown. Why is Lindy unhappy? Well, maybe because Rich Moran and Kevin Brooks go at it. Both rejected. And Lindy's squad was, oh, by the way, trailing at the point. Because of Barry Sanders. Sanders with a 3-yard touchdown. The Lions lead at 14-10 at the half. Then Rodney Peete, all time in the world. He likes to run it in, smells the end zone. Watch him turn it up. Make the cut to the 4-yard line. Touchdown, 21-10 Detroit. But there was a hole in the Lions offense, and normally a hole that is filled. Number 3, Eddie was not eat, drink, and beat Murray today. Missed his 34-yarder. Now, a 50-yarder is tough, but he can make them, but he didn't today. 51-yarder is tougher. He can make them. He didn't today. The lead was only 21-17, and shades of last year. The Magic Man has already led the Packers to one touchdown in the fourth quarter. He lofts one to Sterling Sharp. But then the line judge steps in, Tommy.
You see the line judge at the bottom of the screen. This is the same type play that the Packers benefited from last year in the last minute of a game against the Bears. He ruled that part of Mikowski's body was over the line. The pass was therefore incomplete.
This one isn't in the grasp. Agree with it?
And I think a legitimate call. It's provided, the rule is provided to protect the quarterback, and that's just what it does right there.
So in a big hole, you see the clock, a minute to go. Mikowski to the mercurial Jeff Query from Millikan College, touchdown, and the Pack storming back. They lead the Lions 24-21. But the Lions make one last run. Rodney Peete to Robert Clark, 21-yard pickup. It's in Eddie Murray range. 7 seconds to go. 44-yard attempt. You've seen him miss the 3. The kick is up. It is no good. No good. Lindy's kids come back as they did so many times a year ago. They're now at 2-2. Wayne Fonse's squad drops to 1-3 after an undefeated preseason and a lot of hope in the Motor City in August. 24-21, the Packers over the line.
5 unbeaten teams, and this game was not for the squeamish. The Bears and Raiders in a no-nonsense, no-holds-barred alley fight. 2 teams that had beaten opponents into submission with defense and the running game, but today, wouldn't you know it, each team came out throwing, and throwing deep. First quarter, 1st and 10 for the Raiders on the 37. Jay Schrader, the off-the-line Jay Schrader, 59 yards to Willie Gault. Down to the 4-yard line. 2 plays later, Marcus Allen scored. It was 7-0 Raiders. But the Bears come right back. No, they don't stay on the ground. They go to the air as well. Jim Harbaugh flips one out to Dennis Gentry, who gets behind coverage and is on his way. No one will catch Gentry. 80 yards for the touchdown, winning the foot race and tying the game at 7 apiece. But in the second quarter, key play of the ball game. 10-7 Raiders on top, 3rd and 7 for the Bears. Jim Harbaugh looking for somewhere to go, waving that football around like a loaf of bread, and pays for it. Aaron Wallace strips him of the football. Greg Townsend pounces on it in the end zone for the score. 17-7 Raiders. Marcus Allen added a touchdown late. 24-10. Los Angeles Raiders the final. The Raiders open up 4-0 for the first time since '84. Art Shell is now 9-0 at the L.A. Coliseum. Jay Schrader, 178 yards on 8 of 15 passing as the Bears lose their first of the year.
The unusually crowded Mausoleum in a grade A game of smash ball. And unusually crowded. They get only 50 usually, but 80,000 plus on hand at the Mausoleum where Art Shell is undefeated at 8-0. Second play. Jay Schrader, first play of the second possession. Schrader, the bomb to Willie Gault. 59 yards down to the Bears' 2-yard line. 3 plays later, so dangerous down at the goal line is Marcus Allen.
Always been a great slasher going into the end zone. For his size, he finds a way to get there.
Raiders lead at 7-0. Mike Ditka telling Jim Harbaugh, be careful with these guys. Harbaugh says, forget it, I'm going to throw it. Dennis Gentry burns Terry McDaniel. These 2 close to the best squad going deep. And the game is tied at 7-all. Is this the year that Jay Schrader becomes a force? At times he looks good. Nice pass to Willie Gault of 29 yards. Then the other running back, other than Marcus, that is before Bo, Greg Bell, the cutback. From 25 yards, and does recover his own fumble. Same drive, 2 plays later. Greg Bell, dirt by Mike Singletary, results in a Jeff Mick Jagger field goal of 27 yards, and the Raiders lead at 10-7. Mike Ditka knew he'd see some of his defense sooner or later. Raider defense, though, struck first. In Bear territory, Harbaugh in a pickle. And I don't mean Mark Blasek. Aaron Wallace causes the fumble. Greg Townsend recovers for a touchdown. 17-7 the Raiders. Let's take another look.
This is a play, Chris, that Harbaugh should have eaten the ball, should have gotten down on the ground. He has to realize where he is on the football field. Main thing coaches want you to do is protect the football. Don't give up easy scores.
3rd defensive touchdown for the Raiders this year, but the Bears fighting back. Harbaugh to James Thornton, 23-yard pickup, but there's always a price you pay.
Well, nice job of Harbaugh standing in, but Townsend, ouch.
5 plays later. Is it the reverse? No, it's the fake reverse and the option pass. Johnny Bailey to James Thornton, 12-yard pickup, and Ditka says to beat a good defense, got to pull out all the stops. Bears fight back, literally, to trail at 17-10 at the half. But it would have been nice if Neil Anderson's ribs weren't broken. 26 yards rushing today until he had to leave. Needless to say, that hurt the Bears' offense big time. But Jay Schrader was effective. Spot swerving Mervyn Fernandez on a key third down play. Schrader completed 9 last week, completed 8 today. 8 plays later, Marcus Allen gets the pitch. A couple of nice cutbacks, touchdown, 24-10. The Raiders. Good to see Marcus back. 12 carries for 57 yards. The LA defense is closed down. Chicago in the second half. Recorded 6 sacks. Scott Davis does the honor here, and the silver and black is definitely back. Raiders, 4-0. That's right, the Raiders. They beat the Bears by the count of 24-10, and we say that in honor of our friend Al Davis. And in this ball game, the Raiders continuing to impress on defense. 6 more sacks today, Tommy.
And the strength of any good Raider team, I'm going to switch to the other side of the football. Al Davis loves the offensive line. For the years that we played them and when they were at the top of their game, as they are now, they open up the holes, they run the football. Everything offensively is keyed off of that. There's a problem, though, that you alluded to that's going to arrive in a couple of weeks. One guy named Bo Jackson. I don't know how they're going to handle it.
Well, going back to the defensive side of the ball, I think it should be noted today, because many people have noted it. We talk about LT and many of the other greats. Greg Townsend just may be the biggest defensive force in the NFL this year. On offense, the games that Marcus and Greg Bell had today, hey, Bo, don't quit your summer job.
Whatever's worked for the Raiders, they look impressive. They get only 8 completions today from their quarterback. The Bears had 8 completions from their quarterback. Usually that's been enough to win. Today was the Raiders, winning 24-10. Team that's come out smoking.
For Mr. Bo Jackson. Time now for that winter hobby of his. But this time, Bo would join a Raider team which has not been struggling, unlike the past couple of seasons when Bo joined his mates. L.A. welcomed back its new back against San Diego while trying to extend its best start in 6 seasons. Welcome back, Bo, indeed. Didn't take long for him to get involved in the offense. Second quarter, tied at 3, Bo sweeps left, touchdown. 6 yards on the score, 10-3 L.A. He wasn't through. 2 touchdowns of the day for Bo. Here at the Chargers 7. Starts left, cuts it up inside, sprints in for a second score. Yeah, played a little baseball during the summer. Thought I'd come back and score a couple of touchdowns. Art Shell says, sure is good to have you back, Bo. And then the rest of the offense started to click. Jay Schrader looking, avoiding the rush. Then in the back of the end zone, Willie Gault for the score, 24-9. L.A. is in complete control. Raiders also impressive on the defensive side of the football. Billy Joe Tolliver looking for pay dirt, but he is on the dirt. Rookie Aaron Wallace and Howie Long go in there, and it's a long afternoon for Dan Henning. Bo Jackson, 53 yards on 12 carries, a couple of scores. Not bad in his debut. 24-9 for the Raiders, now 6-1 atop that AFC West. San Diego held without a touchdown for the first time this season.
That's right. They haven't scored that many points. Their defense has really done the job, but they got Bo Jackson back. And
yeah, I remember
you remember him? Yeah, his hobby. He's resuming his hobby again, that being, of course, the NFL. In past seasons, Bo Jackson he's rejoined a struggling team in progress, but the Raiders 5-1, off to their best start since 1984. And the past 2 seasons when Bo has returned, he's scored a touchdown. But what about today? There's Bo relaxing as Marcus Allen got the start. First quarter, Jay Schrader hits Marcus in the flat, takes off, nice moves. A pickup of 32 yards. That sets up a Jeff Jaker 25-yard field goal. It's a 3-all game. But Bo would come in on the next series, Tommy.
Bo's 5th carry of the game, he cuts to the outside and shows that great speed he has, puts his head down for a gain of 8. On his next carry, he does the same thing, busts it outside, bounces for the score. He definitely knows football.
That he does. That makes it 10-3 Raiders. Bo gets congratulated by Marcus Allen. It's a team effort. Howie Long also returned to the Raider lineup. The Raiders defense limited the Chargers to 2 John Carney field goals in the first half. This one bounces in on the left upright, 10-6 Raiders. At the half, Al Davis hoping to see some action from the quarterback position, Jay Schrader. Schrader obliges. 4th play of the 3rd quarter, deep to the speedster, Willie Gault. Gain of 57 yards. You know who gets the ball now. It's Bo time. Running to the left side, his second score of the day. Raiders forge ahead 17-6 in the third quarter. Art Shell tells Marcus, don't worry, we're not going to forget about you just because Bo is back. Meanwhile, Dan Henning and Billy Joe Tolliver with their problems, Tommy.
Here, Tolliver back to pass. He's pressured. He waits a little too long to throw the football. It's incomplete. And as you see here, he pays the price as Bill Packel nails him. Sometimes they had to manufacture plays. Here, Anthony Miller makes the catch, tries to crawl for the first down.
Hey, that's legal. Billy Joe Tolliver on the day, 14 of 28, 169 yards, no interceptions, no touchdowns. We said Marcus Allen would return. We didn't lie. Cutting outside to the right, he rambles. 27 yards down to the Charger 3-yard line. That sets up Jay Schrader. He eludes. Leslie O'Neal finds Willie Galt for the score. Raiders in command, 24-9. Let's check out the rushing numbers for the Raiders. Bo, okay, 12 rushes, 52 yards, a couple of touchdowns. As for Marcus Allen, he carried the ball 8 times for 45 yards. He didn't score, but he had 50 yards receiving. Greg Bell, nice suit. No yards, no rushes, no touchdown. He's out with a spring.
Mike Holmgren was pleased with that thought after a rough 4-game exhibition. He had to be pleased the way his team marched right downfield in the opening series as Don Mikowski finds the open man, Sterling Sharp. And look at the moves. An all-pro run for 6. Packers lead 7-0. And that's one more point than the Vikings gave up the entire preseason. But this is the real season. And what has the real season brought to Green Bay? A rushing game. Vince Workman cranks out 91 yards on the ground and 136 all-purpose. While the running game found a new life, the pass defense could have used the help of holdout Terrell Buckley. Rich Gannon and Hassan Jones make things look pretty easy, tie the game at 10-10 just before halftime. Gannon, for the most part, had all day to throw. Tony Bennett was the only thing in number 16's way. 2 sacks for Tony, but that was it up front. While Vince worked the ground attack, he did make one mistake, a fumble that leads to a Minnesota field goal in the third. While the Packers try to sign this year's top pick, last year shows he's a veteran. Vinnie Clark steps in front of Gannon and makes a nice return to the 11. It sets up the Packers' go-ahead score. Sanja Beach with a tough reception on the ground for 6. Packers in front 17-13. The Vikings take the lead back in the next series in the fourth quarter. Gannon to Jones again, 20-17 Minnesota. But the Packers answer with under 2 minutes to play as Chris Jackie nails a 23-yard chip shot, forcing overtime. Suddenly, the debut looks pretty good for Holmgren. But what didn't look good in overtime was Mikowski. He completes 1 of 5 passes, including this one to Vincey Glenn in the extra session. Magic was also sacked 6 times today. But the biggest Packer killer was Terry.
Defense, he would get it. Jay Schrader. Carl Mecklenburg strips it. Michael Brooks takes it the rest of the way, nearly matching his uniform number. 54 yards, 7-0 Broncos. Raiders would fight back. They took a 13-10 lead late in the game. And John Elway, 3 minutes, no timeouts, and at his own 15, eludes the rush from Terry McDaniel, finds Arthur Marshall, who still has a metal rod in his leg. Nearly took this one the distance. After a pass interference, put Denver at the 1, Reggie Rivers. And that is your game winner. And John Elway does it once again. Broncos win it by the final of 17-13. Before we look...
Our philosophy of attack, intimidate. Our philosophy of not take what they give you, but take what you want. We want, in the first 5 to 10 plays of the game, to establish that the quarterback is going down. And he's just not going down, he's going down hard. Just go out and play, have a will to win, and in the end, just win.
You mentioned just win, baby, and you mentioned individualism. You don't think that attitude contributed to the unfortunate early deaths of some of your players?
No, I think that with all the people that cross our lives, you're bound to have these things, and they live their life, and you could fight with them from time to time and tell them that we got to go in a different direction, and we could get them in a different direction from time to time. But I wished that if they had kept playing or been nearer to us, we could have watched them a little closer and maybe done something a little bit more to help them. But even when you talk about Stacy, Stacy was an unfortunate thing, and it just happened, and you just got to go on. It hurts. I tell you, I've seen it. That's the only thing I think in my lifetime that I've been able to dominate. I've been able to control and live the life the way I wanted to, the way I dreamed it when I was a kid. And my family let me dream it. But the one thing I could never dominate was life or death. I've been lucky. I was lucky with my wife, Carol, and I've been lucky with several other friends of mine that we've been able to help them rise above where people thought they were near the end. But it doesn't always work that way. I told her at a very early age that the only thing that could take me away from football was life or death. She put me through the test about 12 years ago. Today she's 100%. It's a beautiful lady, my friend Carol Davis. She's had a no-cut contract now for a long time. I don't know if she's always worthy of it, but she's had one. And many a time when I've sworn off no-cut contracts relative to players, I've also had her in mind. But we've been married a long time, some 35 years, so I guess we've had a tremendous relationship.
And you helped her fight through a
Well, I don't think there are any magnanimous gestures there. My friend was sick, and I would do that for any friend. And to her credit, she had been in a coma 14 days, and everyone thought she would be a vegetable, and they talked about pulling plugs and things like that. But I think, and I don't advise this to anyone else because everyone has to do it their own way, I call it crisis management. You have to go in there and see and that everything possible is going to be done for your friend. I just couldn't let her lay there, but I thank God she's well today. She does great, and I have a great son, Mark Davis, who I'm very proud of. While he never wanted to run the Raiders, and he works with us, he does probably someday want to own it, but he was always too close to the players. In fact, one of the funniest stories we've ever had here is when Steve Ortmeyer, who is one of our director of operations, was having trouble signing one of our great players, Clifford Branch. And Clifford let his agent go and came walking in with his new agent, and his new agent was my son, Mark Davis.
No.
So those are great memories for me.
Well, you look great, and one thing a couple of your, Steve and Art, say is that they feel you're as rejuvenated as you've ever been, that you are looking ahead. And they said mainly you're out of the courtroom, you've gotten some of these things behind you, and that truly you're a rejuvenated man. Is that true?
I've always tried to keep what I'm going through personally, relative to courtroom, or relative to anything, or relative to bereavement, or agony of defeat, or agony of injury, or agony of death, away from the coaches and the players. There's too much negativeness going on in our culture, in our society today. I've always been tremendously positive, and I'm well aware. For the first time in my life, in a long while, I'm worried about our country. I'm worried about America right now. And it's the first time in a long time that I thought that at times I'm torn, that maybe I better give to the country rather than just give total commitment and focus to the Raiders and professional football. I am worried about our country.
Do you have best memories? I mean, do any jump out right away?
Most of all, my great memories of the totality of the Raiders. If we could leave anything down the road for us to be remembered by, we want the Raiders to embellish all the great qualities that anyone would want in an organization, that everyone would be proud of, so that, as I said, the past would revel and be proud, the present would want to play for the Raiders, and then the future just can't wait. When I see all
Lambeau Field. Mike Holmgren against Dennis Green. Two former 49er assistants, each coaching their first NFL game. Don Mikowski to Sterling Sharp. Look at him elude Minnesota tacklers. Touchdown. The Pack led it early. 7-0. They controlled the ball for much of the first quarter. Roger Craig reunited with one of his former assistants, head coach Dennis Green, but he's tailed by Archibald with a fumble. Pack recover, turn it into a field goal. They lead it 10-3. Roger comes back. Next possession, makes a nice run here to the left side. Just under 2 minutes to go in the half. Rich Gannon lost one to Hassan Jones. He makes the catch. Touchdown. We're tied at 10 at the half. Third play of the fourth quarter. It's beginning to rain. Vikings up by 3 minutes. Picked off. Vinnie Clark. He could go all the way, but he doesn't. Knocked out of bounds by Gannon after a 43-yard return. Then on 3rd and goal, Mikowski, the former 49er, Sanjay Muscle Beach. It's a touchdown. The Pack leads 17-13. But on the next possession, Terry Allen.
Yeah, and this is a guy that Dennis Green is very high on. He gets a good block there, gets a seam to run with, to the speed to get to the outside. Always has the ball in the proper hand when he's running and doesn't run out of bounds. Dennis Green likes that.
51-yard run that sets up Gannon rolling and finding Hassan Jones again. Is it a touchdown or not? We'll take a look again. The Pack said he dropped it, but I'll tell you what. His hand, not the ball, appeared to touch the turf. It's a touchdown. 2017, late in the fourth quarter. Mikowski, who at one point completed 13 straight, finds Sterling Sharp. And with just under 2 minutes to go in regulation, Chris Jackie, very good field goal kicker, ties it up at 20. We're going to overtime. Second down carry. Looks like a play we saw earlier, Tommy. Terry Allen, the first outside.
And notice the shift of the ball, Chris, from inside to outside so he doesn't fumble it.
He had 12 carries for 140 yards, and it helps sets up this quad shot. Fuad Ribez, it's good from 25 yards. And in overtime, the Vikings, undefeated in preseason, beat the Packers 23-20. Minnesota, Green Bay. 2 NFC Central have not. But in Tampa Bay, there's a new attitude, there's a new coach, there's new orange pants, and there are new results. You don't believe? Let's take a look. From the big sombrero, Terrell Buckley will be in the Packer lineup one day, but the #1 draft choice just signed into play today and was over 120 degrees on the field at Tampa Stadium. Don Mikowski, the Packers wearing those dark green jerseys. Harry Sidney falls down and wishes he was in Australia. It's a foul. Ricky Reynolds picks it up, and look at him, twist, turn, into the end zone, touchdown. And the Bucs lead it 7-0. Oh, that clockwork orange defense of the Buccaneers. It's all over the place. Joey Browner tips it. Darrell Fullington brings it down. And then, whoa, no, the other way. That way. And he goes down to the 20-yard line. The Bucs D forcing 3 turnovers today. Sam says roll it. And they do. Vinny Testaverde, a question mark, came down with the flu over the weekend. He was no question mark today. To Mark Carrier, touchdown. 14-0 Tampa Bay. And look at Sam. Look at Sam. Look at Sam. That combination worked again. Testaverde and Carrier didn't hook up at all last week, but this time wide open, Tommy.
Chris is a short post corner. You make the safety, commit to the post, come back to the corner, bobbles the ball a little bit. Carrier concentration gets it in.
Testaverde to Carrier again. This combination hooked up 7 times. Then Testaverde to Carrier. 40 yards. Look at him roll. It sets up a field goal. 17-0 Tampa Bay. I said 17-0 Tampa Bay. Look at Vinny's first half. Mike Holmgren says, well, there's got to be something going right. But not on this day. Magic doesn't complete it with Harry Sidney. Tries to go long. Doesn't complete it there. And don't forget about the youngster Santana Dotson. Boy, he's impressed in the first couple of games. He's playing Oye Como Va all over Magic there. 17-0. The Bucs are ahead. So no Magic. Brett Favre in the second half is the quarterback for the Pack. But Santana Dotson, another sack. 5 Buccaneer sacks on the day. For Vinny, watch this play, just like they diagram it. Gary Anderson, zip. Vinny. Oh, let me tell you about Lawrence Dawsey down to the 2-yard line. Walter Payton's rushing records could be in jeopardy. Why? Because Vinny's now a running back. It's a touchdown. The Buccaneers shake, rattle, and roll the Green Bay Packers 31-3. The first time the Bucs have started 2-0 since 1980 with Doug Williams and Leroy Selman and a whole other team. Vinny, 22 of 25 for 363 yards, and this is when he was supposed to have the flu. So, Tommy, what can you say? After 2 games at home in the white season, if you're going to say that David Shula would win 2 games before Don Shula did this year. I think even longer odds if you said David Shula would win 2 games before his father Don even coached one. But the Dolphins haven't played yet, and today, David Shula's Bengals against the Raiders. Todd Murdovic wondering if he would get the shot. But Jay Schrader answered critics today. Here he throws it out in the left flat to Marcus Allen. Puts the move on number 31, Darrell Williams, and Marcus is all the way to the 35. A 38-yard pickup. Schrader to Tim Brown. Zip, touchdown, 7-0 Raiders. But the Bengals come back. It's 14-7 Raiders in the second, and Boomer scrambles. Looks for Carl Slim Pickens, has him for 18 yards. Then Boomer to another Tennessean, Tim McGee, down to the 10. Then Boomer over the middle of the former Seahawk, Derek Fenner. It's a touchdown, and we're tied at 14, Tom.
Yeah, and Derek Fenner at both ends of this play takes the play fake from Boomer, eases through the line, takes a nice soft pass, and breaks the tackle into the end zone.
All right, let's move to the third quarter. Schrader to Willie Gault. Nice leaping grab for 14 yards. Then Schrader. Look at Jay run. He's going to rumble into Bengal territory for 20 yards. And then Schrader over the middle to Ethan Horton. Ooh, here's a who right there. 30-yard pickup. That would set up Schrader. Looking poised. Nice dart to Tim Brown. Oh, no! But Rod Jones strips the ball and recovers. The Raiders fumble on the 1-foot line, and it's Cincinnati ball. So Boomer wants to make him pay. To Reggie Rembert, wide open, 27 yards. That sets up 4th and goal. David Shula 4 times has gambled on 4th down. And guess what? It's a touchdown. Eric Ball late in the third quarter. The Bengals lead at 21-14. Raiders early in the fourth settle for a field goal. But James Francis blocks the kick. And Shula's special teams doing the job. What a day for special teams, as you'll see. Raiders next possession. Schrader to Ethan Horton. Well, this looks like a different quarterback than the one we saw on Nitro. Then Schrader to Horton again, 22 yards. And Schrader to Tim Brown for 20. Jay was 25 of 40 today for 380 yards and a pair of TDs. Then, just after the 2-minute warning, Marcus Allen, the right side, gets the block, waltzes in, we're tied at 21. Raiders get the ball back with 1:08 to go. Marcus runs the ball first, then Schrader to Tim Brown, but he can't get out of bounds. Tick. Jeff McJaker for the win with 59 yards. It's short and to the left. So Art Shell and the Raiders go to overtime against the Bengals. Dan Land opening kickoff. Sam Grady. Oh, no. Sam, he's on your team. He knocked the ball loose, and Antoine Bennett recovers.
Yeah, Chris, as you say, Sam Grady got his head right on the football. It's just too bad it was his own man.
Oh, Sam. So Dan Land can only watch as on second down, Shula sends in the kicker. And Jim, who's been into the breach before, nails it right down the middle. 34 yards. David Shula, he's 2-0 as a head coach. The Bengals beat the Raiders 24-21. No turnovers on the day for the Cincinnati Bengals. And poor Grady, who scored a touchdown. Then David Shula, starting at 2-0 as coach of the Bengals. Mike Holmgren, beginning as 0-2 as coach of the Green Bay Packers. But life isn't supposed to be this easy or this hard, as they got together at the soon-to-be frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. David Shula looking to go 3-0, and I'll tell you why. His defense, much improved. Of course, Tim Krumrie has always been a fine player. Here he sacks Don Mikowski. Meanwhile, a small fight breaks out. Mikowski is left writhing in pain, ligament damage, left ankle. He would leave the game and will be gone for a long while. So, when Magic comes out, his replacement, the youngster Brett Favre, they acquired from Atlanta. Favre hounded by the Bengal defense, Lamar Rogers with the sack. Then the rookie, Darrell Williams, who's been impressive, the DB, forces the fumble with the Bengals recover. Even when Favre did get rid of the ball, he paid for it. Former 49er Daniel Stubbs nails him after the release, and Mike Holmgren said, wow, I mean, we're 0-2, we got to get going here. Who got going? The second-round draft pick of the Bengals. Carl was not Slim Pickens. 1, 2, 3. 4 would-be Green Bay tacklers. But look at him go. He turns the corner. Don't tell me that from 95 yards away, he could go all the Tim Houck. No way. Touchdown. 10-0 the Bengals. But the Packers playing his first game. Their number 1 draft pick, Terrell Buckley. Don't tell me. This reminds me of Jim Thorpe. He's going to return it for a touchdown. Early in the fourth quarter, 58 yards. Yeah, I did it. Look, it's me. It's me. My first game, just like Deion did his first game. Buckley does his first game. 17-10 the Bengals. Now it's 20-17 Cincinnati. Leroy Butler did it to Eric Ball, the incomplete pass, and it forces the Bengals to punt. 3:20 to go. Could Terrell Buckley spin the magic again? He certainly gave it his best shot, but he give it, then he take it away. Forget looking like Jim Thorpe, he looked like Chief Wild Eagle on this return. The Bengals recovered. So, up by 3, since he wants to kick insurance field goal with 1:10 to go. Jim steps into the breach, and he misses a 36-yarder, but false start before the play. Even though it backs him up 5 yards, they get a break. They get another shot, this time a 41-yard field goal. And Breach, who won the game against the Raiders in overtime last week, it's good for 41 yards out. The Bengals lead 23-17, a minute to go. But Brett Favre, bottled up much of the afternoon by the Cincinnati defense, starts him out. From his own 13, under a minute to go, 41 yards to Sterling Sharp. Then with 19 seconds to go, Favre to the former 49er Kitcher Taylor. It's a touchdown. With just seconds left, the Pack is back. They lead 24-23. No longer undefeated is David Shula. What happened, Tommy?
The safety, Fernandez Benson, is late coming over, and Rod Jones from his corner spot gets well behind Taylor. Last second.
Advice from Jay Schrader. First quarter, Jeff Gossett in the punt. Gossett in the punt. He fumbles the snap. Stephen Moore picks up the loose ball, returns it to the Raider 13-yard line. Then the Browns, Todd Philcox to Eric Metcalf in the corner. 4-yard touchdown strike, 7-0 Browns, still in the first. 3rd and 2 for the Raiders. Marinovich, hit by David Brandon, fumbles the ball. Rob Burnett recovers for the Browns. Art Shell bumming. 2 plays later, Eric Metcalf sweeps right. 6 yards for the touchdown, 14-0 Browns. And Metcalf got some help, TJ.
Yeah, the rookie Tommy Vardell at the fullback spot doing everything he can to get him into the end zone, and look at him. That's a pancake on Dave Wayne.
Third quarter, 14-3 Browns. Todd Marinovich to Willie Galt. Nice grab. And he's going to take it all into the end zone from 25 yards out. 14-10 Browns. Todd Philcox to Eric Metcalf. You're not going to catch Metcalf. 69 yards for the touchdown. 21-13 Browns, but Metcalf not through in the fourth. That connection works again. Philcox to Metcalf. Oh, this one only goes for 63 yards this time. Metcalf with 4 touchdowns on the day. 28-13 at that point. The Browns win 28-16. As for the Raiders, still winless. 0-3, their worst start since 1986. The Raiders have lost 7 games in a row, including last year's playoff game. So they thought maybe, putting the...
And Bill Cowher. It's been Cowher power. 3-3 games, second quarter. Barry Foster, leading runner of the NFL. Look at him go. 69 yards before the Packers' Jim Thorpe. Terrell Buckley finally knocks him out of bounds. 12 carries, $117. You saw the majority of it right there. Steelers settle for a Gary Anderson field goal attempt. But the cornerback, Vinnie Clark, comes flying in. Anderson tries to pick up the ball, but he's nailed by Tony Bennett, who leaves Anderson's heart at Lambeau Field. And the Packers are fired up. Gary did return, though, which is good news. The next play, you make them pay. That's the sign of a veteran quarterback, which Brett Favre is not. 76 yards to Sterling Sharp. And the Pack lead at 10-3.
All-pro corner Rod Woodson is so aggressive in his coverage style because he has the speed. Sterling Sharp here runs a stop, gets him to bite up on the play and a go. And it's all over.
So the Packers led it 10-3 at the half, but they knew that Bill Cowher's defense had not allowed a point in all 3 games of the second half thus far. And Chris Jackie working with the new holder. Murkowski out far, been missed a 25-yard field goal. It still holds. Paul McJulian punting for the Packers. Rod Woodson, the Pro Bowler, great return man. Oh, lets it bounce. Then it's a fumble. And Gary Kuntz pounces in the end zone for a touchdown. Mike Holmgren says, we'll take the gift. Rod Woodson says, I don't believe it.
And the reason that this wasn't a touchdown for the Packers is because Rod Woodson never had control of this football. It's a muff. Green Bay takes possession at the point of the muff.
But following another miscue of special teams, Mike Holmgren tells Brett Favre, go for the jugular. The pump and the touchdown to Robert Brooks, who beats Woodson 17-3. The Pack, not a great afternoon for Rod Woodson.
You get the pump by Favre, the aggressive attack by Woodson, the nice break to the corner by Brooks.
14 of 19 for 210, a pair of TDs, no picks in his first start. And you want to see a nice scene? That's Bill Cowher saying, hey, Rod, you're a great player. Even great players have bad days. You'll have great days for us. That's a great scene, folks. But the Steelers couldn't get to 4-0. They lose for the first time this year. Mike Holmgren, his Packers are now 2-2, and he's played his 4 games against all new coaches, of which he's one of them, too. So it would fit that he would come out 2-2. Now, twice we saw, Tommy, that after a miscue, confidence in the Packers and Favre and going for the jugular after 2 miscues on the special teams. And Favre looked relaxed, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Mike Holmgren has taken the time to nurse this guy along.
Take a shower, get on the bus, get on a plane, and fly home. This one's over.
Hanley's Giants had a 10-0 halftime edge. The Raiders cut it to 10-3, and then the biggest play of the second half. A touchdown pass from Todd Marinovich to Tim Brown, 68 yards it went as Mark Collins had the interception in his hands, lost control of the ball. Brown got it, broke a couple of tackles. That tied it at 10. And then Jeff Jager, a career-best 54-yard field goal, has provided the difference.
Favre, once upon a time, the backup to Chris Miller at quarterback at Atlanta. Now, quarterback of Green Bay, back down to Atlanta. What could he do? Well, Sterling Sharp says, prime time. Can I get your autograph before you play for the Atlanta Braves and the NLCS and possibly the World Series? Brett Favre couldn't find Sterling there, and this is over the head of Vince Workman. Favre is too fired up on this first drive, and this one is just gone. But doink! Jesse Tuggle makes the nice diving interception. Favre 2 of 6 early in his first 2 possessions. So the Falcons take over the 50-yard line, and something that they don't do very well very often. That's run the football. But Keith Jones, looking at the ranked defenses, number 27 and 28 going into the game, and Jones carries for 26 yards. Then Chris Miller to Andre Bad Moon Rison. Puts the twist on Vinnie Clark, goes for 13 yards. Then Miller to Mike Pritchard. Yes, he's over. Touchdown, 7-0 Falcons. And Mike Holmgren says, we know we're going to have to score some points here against Atlanta. Still in the first quarter. The Falcons get the ball back. Miller to Rison, who takes the interception away from Leroy Butler. Beautiful play. Look at us to get down. Then, to cap the drive, Miller, I see it, Bad Moon Rison, 14-0 Falcons, Joe.
The great thing here is this ball is released before he ever turns around. Right part of your screen, Miller fires it. Rison just reaches back behind him, plucks it out of the air. No chance for the DB to make a play.
Under a minute to go in the first half, and Brett Favre warms up. One day they expect big things from tight end Jackie Harris. There's a completion. Then to Vince Workman, my way back to you, babe, out of bounds. Favre to Sanjay Beach, and then Favre to Harry Cindy, who goes down under and out of bounds. Favre to Jackie Harris. Timeout, timeout, timeout. Yes, they get it with 1 second to go. Favre 18 of 23 in the first half after that slow start. But something you pointed out last week on game day, Joe Mikowski here. Favre holding. Jackie not as confident with the new holder. 42-yard field goal misses. 14-0 half Falcons. Now, beginning of the third quarter. Prime time, prime time, prime time. Watch this. Whoa, over the kicker, and he's tackled by Roland Mitchell. Sets up a Norm Johnson field goal, 17-0 Falcons. But the Pack starting to look sharp, as in Sterling, who carries this pass from Favre down to the 24. Then, Sharp makes the move on Tim McCarr at the 12, and he's gone. It's a touchdown, and it's 17-7. Sharp 9 catches for 107 yards, much to the dismay of Jerry Glanville. Chris Miller to Mike Pritchard, nailed by Chuck Cecil of the Pack. But that does set up Miller to Andre Rison. What doghouse? Touchdown again, 24-10.
Right here at the line of scrimmage is where this play is made. Gets right on top of Terrell Buckley. Buckley can't find him. Never has any idea. Says, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Oh, it's there.
Pack with one chance left. Under 3 minutes to go. Favre to Sidney. Then to Vince Workman. What, 8 balls today? Gets out of bounds. And here's the pass to Sanjay Muscle Beach, who was muscled himself by the Falcons. Oh, he's just nailed. Terry Ray recovers, and that's that. Despite 33 of 43 numbers for Brett Favre and 276-yard passing, the Falcons beat the Green Bay Packers 24-10 in a game they had to win after 3 straight losses. So both teams both teams are at 2-3. As we go inside the numbers, we set back to the last undefeated team in the AFC. A totally defeated team in the AFC, the Raiders. And a lot of people came disguised as empty seats at the LA Mausoleum for their game with the Giants today. Todd Marinovich hits his hand on the helmet of teammate Steve Wisniewski on his follow-through. Marinovich suffered a cut, bruise on his left hand. He was shelved for a while in favor of Jay Schrader. Jeff Mick Jager, Pro Bowler last year. This year, it's Memory Motel. He misses a 45-yarder. Second quarter, Marinovich back, hits Ethan Horton. Here's a who. He also hears Lamar Grace, who picks up the fumble. The Raiders lead the NFL most turnovers. Not a good department to be number one, and Art Shell knows it. Then, Jager. No, on a 38-yard field goal. At this point, he's 5 for 13. Kind of the epitome of the Raiders. Meanwhile, the Giants, Phil Simms on the flea flicker. The Stephen Baker used to be a security guard when he was younger at the Coliseum. Gives the Giants security as Simms was 12 for 14 in the first half. Gerard Bunch looks to score.
Great job by Doug Riesenberg. He pushes Howie Long all the way back and knocks him into Weston Moss.
Ray Handley leads Al Davis's Raiders. Yes, that's right, 10-3 early in the third quarter. Marinovich to Tim Brown. Collins almost gets it. Renee Thompson. No, they won't get Timmy Brown. 68 yards. All of a sudden, the Raiders have scored a rare touchdown and have tied it at 10.
Watch this play. Mark Collins is going to go for the interception. Brown plants. Collins figures he's got it picked. Got it, got it, got it, got it. Nope, don't got it. Now got nothing. Tim Brown's going the other way.
Marinovich with a tie game, 9:20 to go, deep to Willie Gall. Again, Collins close but no cigar. Ray Handley trying to say, Mark, you're a good player, hang in there. And can you believe it? From 54 yards out, the emotional rescue for Jeff Jager. The longest of his career couldn't come at a better time. The Raiders, who hadn't won since December 1st. First time this year last week, the LA Raiders won for the first time this year last week. Well, would this become a trend? That's why we went out to the LA Coliseum to find out. Todd Marinovich in the first quarter has the Raiders driving, and he's going to throw a pass to Eric Dickerson. Only 6 career TD receptions for Dickerson, but it's 7-0. Now Marinovich back to pass.
And Marinovich is growing up fast when he has the good solid pocket and time to throw the football. He throws a nice ball, Chris. It's soft. It's easy to catch.
Kelso and Tim Brown. It's Tim Brown by 18 lengths. And the Raiders lead it 14-3. Bills offense struggling. Second straight week. Jim Kelly's pass deflected off the hands of Thermal Thomas. Terry McDaniel picks it up. And he's going to rumblin', bumblin', stumbling. Got a convoy with him. Finally, tiptoes out of bounds. Sets up a field goal. 17-3 Raiders at the half. Thurman Thomas neck spasms. Missed the third quarter. Raiders looking for pass. Kelly sacked from behind by Anthony Smith. It's up about. And Greg Townsend recovers. Another Jager field goal. It's 20-3 Raiders. Fourth quarter, 10 minutes to go. Pete Metzelaars can't get it. Ronnie Lott breaks up the pass on fourth down. And the Raiders beat the Bills 20-3. The first time the Bills have lost 2 in a row since 1989. And
Kind of shaky, huh? Never mind the Broncos and the Chiefs and Pete Rozelle. Ever since they lost to them 51-3 in the 91 Conference Championship game, the Raiders have hated the Bills more than anybody else and everybody else combined. The Raiders thought they had their revenge last December, but they blew a 27-14 lead over the Bills in the fourth quarter. They tried again in week number 6. Something different in this one. Todd Marinovich joined by several guest stars. His pass protection. He could even throw one to Dickerson. Art Shell, cheerleader. About the pass protection. Check it out. Second quarter, he's got more than a second. To Tim Brown, beautiful back around move and 52 yards. He could go a significant percentage of the way. Todd doing his Jim Kelly impression afterwards. The real Jim Kelly was hindered by his Bursar sack injury. That's the bag the Bursar keeps the money in. This is Terry McDaniel bagging a Kelly pass for 46 yards and a future Raider field goal. So at halftime, Thurman Thomas has 2 pains in the neck, bothered by spasms, bothered by the 17-3 LA lead.
No fourth quarter rally this year. Kelly blindsided by Anthony Smith. Greg Townsend the fumble recovery, and the Raiders will get another field goal. Last moment drive is Kelly looking for Pete Metzelars, but finding Ronnie Lott in the way. Kelly without a touchdown pass for the first time in 14 games. He still throws for 302 yards, but all of it set up, none of it payoff. The fewest points for the Bills in 4 years. That was Dickerson's 6th touchdown receiving ever, and it's no mistake. It's the Raider mystique. This is the old reversal of fortune thing for these two teams. The Bills undefeated in September, unmentionable in October. Kelly's been sacked more and thrown more than twice as many intercepts in the last 2 games.
This afternoon in Los Angeles, an inconsistent Raider team so far this year got it together on this day. On 3rd and 10, Todd Marinovich hits Tim Brown, cuts in, and he is off on a 53-yard touchdown pass play. Marinovich had 2 touchdowns in the first half. In the second, Buffalo driving inside the 25. Jim Kelly looks to Thurman Thomas, but the pass is intercepted by Terry McDaniel. He goes 46 yards, setting up a Raider field goal, 17-3 L.A. And here is the story of the game. Jim Kelly is sacked by Anthony Smith. Kelly fumbles, Greg Townsend recovers, and that led to another Raider field goal. A bad day for Buffalo. Buffalo suffers their second one-sided setback in as many games, mainly due to that Raider defense that sacked Jim Kelly 5 times. L.A. earns their 2nd straight win after losing.
In the Buffalo game, just roared right up the middle and stuffed Kelly and company. Against Seattle last week in their shutout of the Seahawks, Anthony Smith from the defensive end spot had 4 sacks. So the Raiders have turned it around big time.
I won't be satisfied until we're 12-4. I mean, we're 3-4 now, and you know, a lot of people are talking about we turning things around. Like I said before, we are still in the jungle. We just know the way out.
They know the way out, and they're one of the few teams, I think, that can match the Cowboys with speed. Kansas City couldn't last week. I think the Raiders can. This is an interesting game at the Coliseum. Hopefully, a lot of people don't show up, but disguised as empty seats.
But nothing wrong with that Raider defense. These guys took it upon themselves to bring the Raiders back from an 0-4 start and lead a current 3-game L.A. win streak. The direct result of that smothering D. 13 points allowed in October. Turnovers down dramatically. Well, the Raiders didn't get mad, but they do want to get even.
To have an opportunity to get back at, 500, that's a big plus for us because we are trying to climb out of the hole that we got ourselves into early in the year, and we got to continue to fight and go beyond Dallas. But right now, Dallas is the one that's standing in our way.
They got on the winning streak, and their attitude is positive right now.
Piling on as the clock rolled, Winston Moss grabbing the football, and of all things, Greg Townsend lining up at quarterback.
I thought at that point, let me get behind the center and disrupt the whole thing. And I hollered, hut, hut. But I guess, Phil hands from my hands, and he didn't hike the ball.
At that goal line stand, we stood there united as a team, just doing whatever it took just to maintain control of that situation and not let them get anything cheap.
The Giants were knocking on the door. And at that particular time, the defense said, hey, enough is enough.
The stand sent the Raiders into the locker room down 10-0. The Giants never scored again, and the Raiders won the first of 3 straight.
The Raiders actually made their stand earlier in the week with a players-only meeting. One of those who spoke his mind was Ronnie Lott, a veteran of 4 Super Bowls. Lott doesn't want to talk about his leadership role, but he has made an impression.
Ronnie's a winner. And at the same time, you just know this guy ain't going to tolerate being around losers. So when Ronnie speaks, you want to grasp everything he's saying.
We had a meeting, and normally I think the meetings are overblown, kind of exaggerated, a lot of cliches, but it was a good meeting, and I felt that we came out of the meeting stronger as a team. It's been a while since we've had that kind of cohesiveness.
I've been in coaching 25 years, and I've never seen it really work. Maybe work for a day of practice, and this one was unbelievable. Whatever was said in the meeting, it really took hold.
Typically, Lott also took control on the field with a tenacious, emotional performance when the Raiders stunned the Buffalo Bills in Week 6.
He went over and sat on the bench, and you went up to him, put your hand around his head, your forehead against his forehead. Remember what you told him?
I'm having a tough time without being emotional right now. I made the statement to him. I said, hey, thanks for showing up. thanks for helping me, which he's done. You can see it. I'm having a difficult time talking about that thing because...
I mean, players can bring out emotion in a coach like that?
Oh, yeah. He's special. He really... you have no idea.
Now, something else that happened in that meeting is the veterans told the young players something along the lines of, grow up. Besides Lott, how...
Mark Green for 43 yards. Oh, those tricky Bears, Tom.
Yeah, Mark Green fakes like he's going off the field. Right there, he's circled. He gets as close as he can to the sideline. They'll check to see if he's covered or uncovered. He's not. Gardocki hits him. That's the easiest touchdown the Bears have had in a few weeks.
That sets up Brad Colonel Muster in the end zone with the football. Bears lead the pack 10-3. Maya, nice and mellow at Lambeau. 17-3 Bears in the second quarter. Brett Favre, Wait has the nice touch on this high riser to Sterling Sharp, 17-10. Now 23-10 in the fourth quarter. Bears too much today. Darren Lewis, the inside handoff, makes a nice cut. And look at it go. Number 50, Johnny Holland, forget it. Touchdown. 30-10 Bears. Mike Holmgren wanted to beat their rival Chicago, but he couldn't do it. Now, very scary moment. Linebacker Brian Noble of the Pack injured himself trying to tackle Brad Muster. Left the game, was immobile on a stretcher, but X-rays negative. We'll have an MRI later to determine whether his spinal cord was bruised. But the legs are moving, appeared to be a back contusion. Not as bad as it looked. That's the good news. Harbaugh ties a club record, 13 straight completions.
Season record this year, 91,500 on hand. Raiders led 6-0. Extra point tried. No, Jeff Gossett fumbles the snap. Jeff Jager laterals it back to Gossett. And the Hail Mary to Ethan Horton. No. 6-0 Raiders. PAT, no good. Cowboys' first drive, Emmitt Smith from 6 yards out. It was the Emmitt Smith show on Sunday. Third quarter, Cowboys down 13-7. Smith again, yes, stretching it in for a 4-yard touchdown. 14-13 Cowboys. Fourth quarter, Emmitt again. 26 yards this time, untouched. He had 29 carries, 152 yards.
The Lions and the Green Bay Packers. Well, Detroit won last week, and although they're only 2-5, this is a division winner from a year ago. You figured they're coming home. They have their security blanket. Remember last year, they won 11 straight over the last couple of years at the Silverdome? Well, if they lost to the Packers today, all of a sudden it would mark 3 straight losses. Which Lions would show up? Well, Kevin Glover, the latest offensive lineman to be hurt, in a cast in his foot. He's out, hurt last week, and the Lions struggle. Tony Bennett leaves Rodney Pete's heart in the middle of the Silverdome. Pernell Dent on the blitz sack. Pete 4 sacks today by the Pack.
Yeah, and when he wasn't being sacked, he was being pressured as he is by Noah Coon.
When Pete did throw, sometimes it was ill-guided. Johnny Holland, he could go all the way, except reminder to tail. You got to bring the football with you. He drops the ball. It is the Packers' ball at the 3. 3 plays later, Harry Sidney from Australia. No, for the Pack. Touchdown, 7-3 Green Bay. First rushing touchdown for Mike Holmgren's Packers all year. 2.5 to go in the second quarter, 10-3 Green Bay. Watch Kelvin Pritchett. He's going to rough Brett Favre. And on a play when they stop Vince Workman short of the first down, the roughing the passer allows the drive to continue. So, Favre, the youngster, takes advantage of it. Goes to Sterling Sharp, the leading receiver that nobody knows, down to the 48 of Detroit. Favre to Sterling Sharp. You can bet the Lions know all about him. An 18-yard pickup. And then Favre to a tight end the Packers expect big things from one day. Jackie Harris. Touchdown. 17-3 Pack. Late second quarter.
Yeah, and as far as the pass rush, as you said this morning, Chris, they had none. The best defensive lineman they had, Jerry Ball, was double-teamed and triple-teamed all day.
If you can't pressure the quarterback, what are you going to do? Well, special teams, like Benny Blades, blocking the punt of Paul Orange McJulian. He picks it up at the touchdown. Special teams play gets the Lions in at 20-13.
Yeah, you watch the block there, or non-block on Blades. You see him come free. That's the easiest block he'll ever have of a punt.
Jackie Harris caught a touchdown but missed the block. But so, now the Pack need to sustain a drive. Favre to Sharp. Again, Favre to Sharp. Look at him spin and then spin up the field for a key first down. And then Favre to Sharp. Not only is it a first down, it's a touchdown. Sterling was Sterling today. 6 catches for 84 yards. That's a 30-yard touchdown. Brett Favre and the Packers all over the Lions. 27-13. No fluke here. 25-9 in first downs. And Vince Workman, my way back to you, babe, was going to get a rare 100-yard rushing game for the Pack. They took 2 yards away from him on a loss the last couple of plays of the game. But the Packers won, and Brett Favre looked good, Tommy.
Well, Brett Favre is an added dimension for this team, Chris. When he shows that mobility outside the pocket, buys times for his receivers.
And as he did on Sunday night against Washington, Lawrence Taylor leading the Giant defensive charge. First quarter knocks down the pass by Brett Favre. Same series. He gets a sack on the youngster Favre. With the Giants leading 3-0. Special teams. Ed Reynolds blocks the punt of Paul Orange McJulian. Lewis Tillman picks it up. And that sets up another Favre field goal, 6-0 G-Man.
Yeah, you see on the replay here, right in the middle of your screen, Ed Reynolds comes untouched, gets the easy block, and Tillman makes a nice scoop of the football, Chris.
Now, Tommy, the Packers have taken a 7-6 lead on a touchdown run by Vince Workman. My way back to you, babe. And Chuck Cecil says to Dave Meggett, look at that little Meggett get hit. And then on the next play, the Hoss lays him out.
Yeah, and this is the kind of play that receivers always remember. The ball just hangs a little bit, leaves him off into coverage. And you discuss that with the quarterback when you get back to the huddle.
Chuck Cecil was no beanie on those 2 shots, that's for sure. Workman trying to keep the Packers' mo running, but the fumble, and the Giants recover. And they strike quickly.
Yeah, you watch the Giants' Stephen Baker here getting down on Terrell Buckley. The only mistake Terrell makes, he never gets his head around to the football. Stephen Baker does, and the catch.
And that leads to a Rodney Hampton 2-yard blast, 13-7 Giants at home at the half. Second half, more defense from LT. Knocks the ball down, but on the play. Watch the replay. The right foot, right there. Ruptured Achilles tendon, surgery Tuesday, out for the season. More in a moment, and as Bill Parcells said so eloquently, you see Lawrence Taylor maybe leaving the stadium for the last time in a golf cart. Wow, that's a sobering moment. 12 years of brilliance for the Giants. Teammates fired up by the way LT was playing. And this time McJulian throws a pass better than Garrow, but still couldn't complete the pass for Mike Holmgren. Brett Favre trying to fire up the troops in the 4th quarter. And the pass is picked up by Pepper Johnson. Has he carried the ball much there, Mo, Larry, and Kurt?
Certainly.
Still driving, Jackie Harris holds on despite the hit by Greggs Jackson. Favre's luck, though, runs out. Oh, don't walk away, Renee. It's Renee Thompson. Makes the move on Favre, and he could go all the way. 69 yards, 20-7, the Giants. 5 turnovers on the day for the Pack. Giants add another score at the end, and they're fired up. You know what? After a season that could be a disaster, 5-4, the Giants, as they beat the Packers by the count of 27-7. And Bill Parcells, of course, working for NBC these days, working a late game up in Buffalo, had these comments as he reflected on the career of LT. At home today against the Raiders. Raiders' first possession. Todd Marinovich picked off by Eric Allen. So, with Randall Cunningham watching, Jim McMahon steps into the breach. Some confusion as Antone Davis so excited to give McMahon a good block that he goes off about 5 yards too early. A screen to Keith Byers loses a yard. Howie Long sacks Jimmy Mack. Would Jimmy Mack last? Well, hey, not that good, huh, Randall? But even less impressive was Todd Marinovich. I mean, where's this pass? Wes Hopkins makes the pick. Second quarter, still McMahon struggling, leading 3-0 and 3rd and 11. He is sacked by Greg Townsend. But Jeff Philadelphia Eagles rolls out on the fake field goal. But no, they come up empty, but no. The Raiders with a penalty.
Yeah, stupid play by Andre Bruce here. He took 2-3 steps into the punter, Eagles, and that's going to draw the flag every time.
And after the flag, Herschel into the end zone, a 1-yard run, 10-0 the Eagles. And there's Jimmy Mack and Herschel saying this could be our day. Todd Marinovich tries to rally the Raiders, but John, shake your booty.
Good throw.
Oh, real nice. Marinovich, well, he's bummed. Booty and the Eagles, they feasted on Marinovich's passes. Raiders second worst in football, turning the ball over, going into the game. So Art Shell made a switch. In comes Jay Schrader. His first pass, and all of a sudden the Raider offense has a new look. Zip to Tim Brown for 17. Then after a short run by Eric Dickerson, Jay Schrader, that nimble one, scrambles for 6. Next play, the guy who is pretty nimble, Marcus, the high socks and all. Like the old days, 20 yards for Marcus deep into Philadelphia territory. 2 plays later, Schrader. Alexander Wright. No, sir. The Raiders do get a field goal. So the score 10-3. Schrader says, come on, we can get in this thing. Rich Kotite looking across the field. Wondering if Jimmy Mack can get it going. And they tried trickery, Tommy.
Yeah, we watched a series of plays here designed to do a certain thing. This first one is not designed to lose 14 yards, but Barnett gets caught inside to contain. But you watch Jimmy Mack here go back, step up nicely into the pocket.
42 yards.
Delivers the ball to Barnett. Now, what we're going to see here on the replay, you look in the box there in the middle of the field, there's nobody covering. Now we take a shot of it from the back of the defense. The corner thinks he's going to run the square, and right there he bites on it. Barnett takes him downfield. No help deep. That's how you get touchdowns.
17-3. Jimmy Mack with the visor, and Randall. Everybody excited. Philadelphia finally looking good. Randall Cunningham watches as Heath Bar Sherman takes the handoff. 30-yard touchdown, the Eagles. 24-3 Philly.
Yeah, McMahon does a nice fake of the pitch right there, draws the defense outside. Heath Sherman spots a good cutback lane, breaks through the defense. The safeties are bitten up. One other person to run by Washington as he goes into the end zone.
Well, they played the Packers today. Last week, Randall on the sidelines, but as advertised by Rich Kotite, Randall back in control of the offense this week of the game in Milwaukee. But early he looked well, high and wide to Keith Byers. He looked well, high period to Calvin Williams. He looked well, wild, over the head of Keith Byers. Not a good beginning for Randall, obviously a little anxiety. Hey, what was that, a big year for the Packers? Vince Workman, my way back to you, babe. Look at him bust through the supposedly impregnable Eagles defense. Eric Allen drags him down.
You get Reggie White blocked, good things happen. Tootie Robbins here knocks Reggie White off his feet. Workman cuts back behind the block. You get a 40-yard gain.
Bud Carson not used to see his defense sliced up. But in the second quarter, 3rd and 2 for the 5, Brett Favre to Sterling Sharp, a great play. Yes, he's inside the pylon. Touchdown, the Pack lead at 7-3. Rich Kotite had reason to be concerned because next possession, Brett Favre to Sharp, who truly was Sterling again. The next play to Jackie Harris, the tight end of whom big things are expected. The Pack goes to the draw and work for 12 yards. Then Favre, gutty performance over the middle to Harry Sidney. And Harry's rumbling, bumbling, stumbling down to the 2-yard line, which sets up the first rushing touchdown scored against the Eagle defense all year. It's Vince Workman, 14-3, the Pack, with a stunning lead at the half. Brett Favre, what did he do? 11 for 11 in that short passing game of Coach Mike Holmgren. They had a great game plan today. The Eagles weren't prepared for what they did. Favre to Sharp, 8 yards, first down. Favre, the tight end, Jackie Harris.
Yeah, Chris Berman's Jackie Harris. You told me this was what was gonna happen.
Well, every now and then, once in a blue moon, we're right. Favre to Sharp, slides across the middle down to the 3. Tommy setting up Darrell Thompson.
Yeah, Darrell Thompson here out of the backfield. You see his man, Wes Hopkins, on the freeze, turns his back, and that gets him right to the sideline where he wants to be for a touchdown.
Darrell Thompson making a contribution after Workman went out of the game with a separated left shoulder, 21-10. So, we need some Randall magic. And the flip to Heath Bar Sherman. Look at him. Let's get it go. He just could go all the way. Big play, Eagles in the game. Roland Mitchell, where are you? 21-17. Then the flea flicker, Byers, back to Randall. The pass deep. Roland Mitchell, what are you doing? It's pass interference. 1st and goal. Herschel Walker, the pitch right. Roland Mitchell has him wrapped up. Help me! Help me! There's no help. It's a touchdown. And just like that, being outplayed, the Eagles 24-21. The Eagles looking to go up by 10, but it's up by Bo. Heath Sherman. And it's recovered by Leroy Butler. The Packers looking like they were letting it slip away. Come back. Favre to Sterling Sharp. 35 yards. That sets up a field goal to tie it at 24. Sharp, 7 for 116. He's over the century mark for the year, the 1,000-yard mark. 43 seconds to go, 1st and 10. Tie game at the Bo. Johnny Holland recovers the miscue by Herschel Walker. The clock running down. 41-yard field goal, Chris Jackie. It's long enough. It's deep enough. It's good. Holmgren's Packers have pulled the upset in Milwaukee over the Eagles. 27-24, 410 yards in total offense by the Packers, the most by far given up by the Eagles. And after the game, interesting to note, Eagles defense, Seth Joyner, concerned about Eagles play calling late.
You know, you got the ball back inside your 20, you're on 30. Well, how far do you think you're going to get running the ball? You know, you got to get the ball in field goal range for the field goal kicker to win the game for us, and we're running the ball on first and second down. You know, some things I just don't understand. Maybe it's me. Is it me? Somebody please tell me.
Oh, no, I wanted to get to at least the 20 before we started in our 4 wide receiver thing, because there was enough time and timeouts that if we weren't careful, they would have gotten the ball back in good field position. So the first run worked out real well, and then I wanted to see if we can get a few more yards before we got to our 4 wide receiver thing. No, I was going for it.
No controversy for me today. I was controversial last week. Can't get controversial this week. But I do want to say about it's only the Green Bay Packers. I ran my mouth too much. They're a great football team. I apologize to the head coach, Mike Holmgren.
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, and again, a day of great games, Tommy. This one was enjoyable because it was a team that wasn't as good as the Packers, playing their hearts out at home. The quarterback playing the whole game with a separated left shoulder. The big running back Workman out. They get 410 yards. Randall isn't the controversy in Philly. If Jim McMahon can play defense, maybe they can use him there because they gave up 410 yards. A big win for the Pack. Skins against, the Chiefs against the NFC East. They should join that division.
Well, I think they've had a lot of success. They used, again, the threat of the running game to make the play-action pass work early. And I think you have to give credit to John Alton company on the Chiefs offensive line. They did a great job. But sometimes preparation comes into play. Philadelphia has not played the Chiefs for 20 years. The Redskins had not played them for 9, so the only preparation they have is off film, and I think Marty Scheidenheimer is using the film to trick people early in ball games.
I tell you what, the Broncos, the leaders in their division, they stumble against NFC East teams. The Chiefs, they love seeing these NFC East teams at least coming into Arrowhead. When we return, we've got plenty more to show you, but as we go inside the numbers, for the Philadelphia Eagles at home, their defense is great, and we all know they have a great defense. They allow 33 points in their 5-0 home mark, but on the road, 101 points allowed in their 5 games. That's not a lot. I mean, that's what, barely over 20 a game, but yet a different team on the road, and the Packers made them pay. When we return, the Cowboys automatic at home, right? Looking for a dozen in a row.
Seattle, Todd Marinovich watching this one from the sideline. Seattle's first drive, trailing 3-0. Stan Gelbaugh, he's picked off by Lionel Washington. Raiders try to capitalize. Schrader, nice toss. But Tim Brown, he dropped a touchdown pass. Goes to the sidelines and said, Coach, I never drop those. Another Raider field goal made it 6-0, TJ.
Yeah, Seattle driving on 4th down. James Jones. Here's Ronnie Lott's footsteps.
Yeah, that reputation. The Raiders capitalize on the mistake. Ethan Horton, the grab from Schrader from 9 yards out. He got in. 13-0 Raiders. Schrader is psyched. Things, could they possibly get worse for Seattle? Yeah, Stan Gelbaugh, just what they need. Sprained knee. He missed the rest of the game. Second half, Gelbaugh's replacement just off the injured reserve list. Kelly Stauffer, no luckier. He's nailed by Aaron Wallace. The Raiders recover after a lot of fumbling and stumbling. And then Eric Dickerson in the backfield for the Raiders with some hard running right at the goal line. He gets in. Raiders led 20-0 at that point. The Seahawks, they did manage a 43-yard John Casey field goal to avert
the Bears playing for the 8 millionth time at Soldier Field. Mike Ditka has beaten the Pack 5 straight, but the Pack said 7 heads are better than 1. First quarter, we're tied at 3. Brett Favre, oh, what a pretty play fake to Sterling Sharp. Favre to Sharp, you're going to be hearing this for years. 10-3, Packers in the first.
Yeah, Chris, and that play fake freezes the defense. He hides the ball actually behind his back. Most quarterbacks do it on the hip. Makes the nice throw downfield. Sharp gets the one-on-one coverage because of the fake and makes the great catch over Wolford. And we'll take another look at this. If you look at the top of the screen, watch everybody on the field bite on the fake. Wolford's the only one to read it, but that's too good a throw and catch.
Meanwhile, for Jim Harbaugh, he struggled. Harbaugh. Pass batted down by Matt Brock. Underrated Packer defense. Overrated Bear offense. Wendell Davis, no. Neil Anderson, no. Harbaugh. Picked off by Chuck Cecil, who returns the beanie into Bear territory. Look at him go down to the 25-yard line. Harbaugh, 8 for 18 for 97 yards. And could anybody get the triple figures today? Peter Tom Willis. That ought to shake things up. He comes in for Harbaugh. Late third quarter, the Pack 10-3. Favre to Sterling Sharp. That short passing game was there all day. Favre, the scramble. To Harry Sidney, nice job. Stopped short of the goal line. 2 plays later, Favre. Separated shoulder and all.
This kid is tough and gutty, and this proves it right here.
And the Packers take the 17-3 lead. Harbaugh watches from the sidelines. Mike Holmgren and company control the clock in the second half. Mike Ditka and the Bears looking at their 4th straight defeat. And the Packers, 2nd place in the NFC Central. I know they're only 5-6. This is a team that's underway. And the Bears have to wonder what's going on. Packers win 17-3. And Tommy, for the Bears, that 4-game losing streak now their longest since '89 when they began 4-0, ended up going, what, 6-10. They have that look again, don't they?
Yeah, well, we heard Tom Landry say it this morning on game day. It takes about 10 years to have a team be good, express themselves, then go crest, reach their peak, and then go over the hill. Now, this team of the Bears was developed in the early 80s. Now it's the early 90s. They don't have the talent that they used to have, and I think it's most evident when you watch them tackle. This team has always been known for hitting and striking in their secondary, and now they're missing tackles.
I think as football fans, we are all of us here and you out there are all impressed with teams that know they're not going to get to the playoffs, but play with a lot of heart in November and December. Since they were crunched by the Bears 30-10 4 weeks ago, the Packers have taken it to heart. They're looking at 500 a little bit better, and they're playing that way today, and that quarterback Favre gets more confident every game. We got plenty to show you when we return. But I'll tell you what more do you want us to say about the ball game? And if 2 guys had stayed in school, it might have been Todd Marinovich against Tommy Maddox. Well, Marinovich watched today as a Raider, and Maddox played today as a Denver Bronco, subbing for John Elway. Tough task in the Coliseum against the Raiders. And here we go. Eric Dickerson, looking like the ED of old. Early first quarter, 20-yard outside of Mecklenburg and company. Still in the first quarter, ED, 15. Looking powerful, Tommy. He gains 15 more.
Yeah, the outside linebackers weren't given the support and driving guys back to their helpers on the inside, so he was getting to the outside constantly during the day.
99 yards in the first half, 107 overall. Tommy Maddox wearing Gary Kubiak's number 8. Would he do well, Tom?
Yeah, Mark Jackson reading here, going on the post pattern. Looked like Tommy Maddox thought he was going to give him a stop or a seam. Threw the ball behind him. McDaniels got the interception.
And he takes it 64 yards down to the 2-yard line. After the quarter change, Jay Schrader to Andrew Ski Glover for the touchdown. 10-0 Raiders. Later in the first half, 33 seconds to go, Schrader to Tim Brown. And it's 17-0 Raiders. This series always close, except today. Second half, could Maddox get the Broncos going? Well, he drops the ball. Aaron Wallace recovers. Raiders swarming. Later, Maddox. Looking like Lester Maddox. He drops the ball, but it completes it to Reggie rolling on the Rivers. More problems. Maddox. A sack by Andre Bruce. 2 for 207 yards. I mean, not bad, but obviously a little uptight in this big starting role in a big divisional game. Fourth quarter, Schrader. Marcus Allen, the forgotten one. Touchdown. 24-0 Raiders. Schrader, 16 of 33 touchdowns. Eric Dickerson's 100-yard day, the 60. Packers have won 3 of their last 4, and in Milwaukee. Tampa always looks funny in these snowsuits in orange, don't they? Vinny Testaverde at the helm in the first quarter. Looking for Lawrence Dawsey. In out of his hands, it picked up by Roland the headless Thompson Gunner Mitchell. And he returns it into Buccaneer territory. The Bucs, though, next time they have it, well, we didn't like that, we'll keep it on the ground. Reggie Cobb breaks off the gainer to the left side. Cobb slicing off left tackle. Cobb off right tackle this time, and the Buccaneers look pretty good. Bucs at the 20. Play action. Vinny to Mark Carrier. Looks smooth, Tom. 7-0 Tampa Bay.
The potential that Vinny Testaverde has. Here he makes the great fake, pulls the defense to the right, doesn't even bother to set his feet, and throws a strike to Carrier for the touchdown.
For the Packers, they have looked better. Just ask Chuck Cecil, who on this punt looks like Beanie. He fumbles it. Roger Jones, Tampa recover. Roger Jones, no, you're going the other way. You got the right team. You go, no, Roger, to the left. Okay, at any rate, you get the point. Cecil redeems himself on the same series. The pass tipped by Leroy Butler. And there is Chuck Cecil, Johnny on the spot, to make the pick. Green Bay has a good field goal kicker, Chris Jackie. 3 for 3 in the first half. Pack lead 9-7 at the half. Third quarter, the Bucs come out throwing. Vinny for Mark Carrier. Chuck Cecil, interference. But on the next play, Vinny, rather than throwing the pick, plenty of time, plenty of space, and Anthony McDowell, the youngster, makes the catch. 14-12, Tampa Bay with the lead. Brett Favre, though, the comeback kid. Look at him run with the separated shoulder and all for a first down. Then look at him move and dart one into Ron Lewis. And then the young man we've been talking about, the tight end, Jackie Harris, touchdown. 19-14, the Pack. The Bucs work their way into field goal range. The veteran, Eddie Murray, from 47. No good. So the Pack retains a 5-point lead, but offsides Pack. Sam says, try another one, Eddie. From 42. I don't know, must have got below freezing because the Bucs never win when it's below 32 degrees. Short. The Pack catches a break. They get another one. They have to punt. Tampa trying to mount a final drive, but Courtney Hawkins fumbles it, and Brian Noble recovers for Green Bay. Chris Jackie, a 52-yarder, but no good as the Pack try to boost their lead to 8. Mike Holmgren watches as he watches Vinny Testaverde in trouble. And for the second time today, Roland Mitchell makes the pick. Really a day of interceptions and fumble returns. And for Sam Weiss, they played pretty well to Tampa Bay, but not well enough to avoid their 7th loss in their last 8. Brett Favre, there are his numbers. Efficiency, 26 of 41, not a lot of yards. Sterling Sharp caught 9 balls in the game, and that gives him 363 in his career, the most receptions in a 5-year period, breaking Roger Craig's record of 358. The Packers beat the Buccaneers. And Tommy, you know, one small step for man here. Green Bay, they looked like they were going to get left out this year. They're at 6-6.
Well, certainly I think the team of a sign trying to take that next step is that when you don't play really well, you can still be successful, and that's what the Pack did today. And I think what keyed that is Brett Favre. He came out, he had no interception, so he was very careful with the football. But what was more impressive is watching this kid play with that separated left shoulder, because he doesn't just get comfortable in the pocket, try to protect himself with the offensive line, go down needlessly. Here, even though this play was called back, you see him running down the field. He has the chance to go out of bounds, but he doesn't. So I think the whole team tends to get inspired by Brett Favre's play.
You know, something we talked about earlier, Tommy. I mean, young quarterbacks are going to make mistakes. Now, you know, it may not sound like much, but this year especially, when you throw consistently for 200 yards a game, you're all of a sudden one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Brett Favre, going into today, had thrown for 200 yards a game 10 straight times. He went for number 11 against the Detroit Lions. Team the Packers began their roll against this current 4 or 5 spin by beating Detroit earlier. The snow, but Mike Holmgren loves the snow. They're an outdoor team. Darrell Thompson gets his first start. He looked good. 6 yards. Favre, that short passing game. And the flat makes a nice grab, some nice moves, and this will go for 14 yards. Thompson again running right. Good block by Harry Sidney. 10 yards.
Yeah, you watch as they set up the score here. Watch Harry Sidney, number 42, as he gets a good block on Chris Spielman to lead him into the end zone.
Nanook the North, Wayne Fonts sees his Lions down 7-0. Rodney Peete to start today. And he slipped and slid and looked for Herman's Moore. Downfield, makes the catch, getting Detroit close. But Peete fumbles. A guy that's had a great year for the Pack, Johnny Holland, falls on the football. And the Pack strike quickly. Favre, the gun for Sterling Sharp. And he could go all the way. He's in. No pressure. Sterling United. Oh, it's a fumble. Oh, he picks it up. Touchdown. 65-yard touchdown. Favre to Sterling Sharp.
Yeah, you watch the replay here, Chris. Sterling a little bit confused by the snow on the ground. Thinks he's in the end zone. Right there, he thinks he's crossing the goal line. And luckily, he gets a look at the cone just as the ball comes out. Has the presence of mind to pick it up and get it in the second time.
Second quarter, the Pack driving the screen to Harry Sidney. Makes William White, fitting name on this day in the snow, miss. And it's 21-0 Pack. Andre Ware, the youngster, on in relief. Relief, how do you spell it? Not W-A-R-E, not today. Mac Brock hits him, it's Bambo. And Tony Bennett, he left his heart in County Stadium. 28-0, the Pack. Ware would get better. Here he hits Herman Moore. You want to see a nice play right there. Touchdown, 11-yard, 28-7.
Defensive back Jerry Butler here should have been ejected from the game as he goes head high on Andre Ware. That's the exact kind of flagrant foul we were talking about this morning on game day.
The Packers undaunted. Here we go. Sharp out of the backfield. A short passing game. So if you hit him short, Tommy, you got to cheat up, and then you can hit him a little bit longer. Favre and Sharp, 9-yard touchdown. 35-7 at the half. 3 touchdowns, 214 yards. No interceptions for Brett Favre. A bright spot for the Lions. Guess who? You can't tackle Barry Sanders. He's over 1,000 yards. That gives him 4 seasons, each one 1,000-yard season. Only Eric Dickerson, Earl Campbell, Tony Dorsett, and Barry have now done that. But the Pack's longest winning streak in 8 years puts them at 7-6 as they beat the Lions 38-10. 3-0. They close out at Milwaukee this year. 9-3 in Milwaukee the last 4 years. They love playing there.
Well, the Raiders 22-7, including the playoffs under Archell. Always some ugliness when these two teams get together, as you'd expect. Some hitting going on. Then Dale Carter clothesline Steve Smith. They didn't like that at all. All right, let's get on to the game, shall we? First quarter, Brian Barker back to punt, but Elvis Patterson blocks the punt, scrambles for the loose ball. It's 14-0 Raiders. Marty has reason to worry because Barker hurt his shoulder. He had to leave the game. 2 of the best pass rushers in the league going at it. Anthony Smith sacks Craig, his 12th of the year. Then it is Neil Smith getting to Schrader for his 12th sack. But you know, Jay, he solves the Chief Steve. How? Play action to Steve Smith. And he is wide open. 11 yards on the score, 21-0 Raiders. Then late in the second, Craig looking to the end zone. But Tony Hargan. But Dan Land comes up with the interception. Pass interference was called on Dan Land, and yes, it was pass interference, but on Tony Hargan, look, left arm. Should have been offensive. But Dan Land, yes, there is a Santa. More Raiders D. Anthony Smith, the sack, 3rd of the game, leads the AFC. Then in the 3rd quarter, all right, with the bad self, got to get it in. Here you go. 3rd quarter, Raider finds Willie Gall.
Last season. And the 6th member, it will be the Pack Sterling Sharp with 13 to break Monk's mark. Good evening, everybody. Mike Patrick along with Joe Theismann. Through 13 games this year, Sterling Sharp has recorded an amazing 88 receptions. Joe, when you look behind those numbers, what you find is actually a one-man receiving corps.
Never has it been recorded, Mike, where one receiver has dominated without a compliment from the other side. Take, for example, Art Monk's 106 catches. He had Calvin Muhammad on the other side with 42 to help him out. And if you take a look at the string of receivers and the records that they've set, Jerry Rice with 100, his complimentary receiver, John Taylor, 49 yards. The Oilers, Jeffries 100, Hill had 90. The Packers, 88 for Sharp.
Back. Bargain Sharp attack. The Pack is back.
I think they get an understanding of what type player they're going up against, a guy who, you know, for 3 or 4 seconds is a guy you really don't want to face.
He's a great competitor, for starters. He really has a great feel.
Sunday night on ESPN, 2 teams going places. As a matter of fact, exactly where were they going? Well, it would depend. Could the Packers keep it going to win their 5th straight, or would the Oilers back now that they're at home and looking good? Chuck Cecil looking like Fuzzy Thurston in the old Packers. First, Leonard Harris gets nailed by Cecil. Then, Haywood Jeffries nailed by Cecil. With the Packers leading 6-0 in the 3rd quarter, it's the Oilers that are nailed by Cecil. He makes the interception of Commander Cody Carlson's pass, and then look at him go, cutting between Oilers. way down toward the goal line. Sets up a field goal. It's 9-0. On the phone, Sterling Sharp. Will you call my number? You know Brett Favre wants to call it. 6 times today he did. It's a touchdown, and the Packers lead at 16-7 after the Oilers scored. It's an onside kick, but Sanjay Muscle Beach saves the day with a couple of minutes to go. Cutting in front of the Oilers, Marcus Robertson, and the Packers win in a very, very tough place, the Houston Astrodome, 16-14. The Packers win, and Houston's loss gives Pittsburgh the AFC Central title, even though the Steelers lost today. The Steelers are the first team to clinch the division title, and the Pack have won 5 straight for the first time since 1966. That was the year when they won Super Bowl I. Let's join Joe Theismann, now still with his friends at the Astrodome. And Joe, I mean, how good do we think the Pack are right now? I mean, they've won 5 in a row, and certainly they may not look as good as some of the behemoths of the NFC, but they're obviously playing with a lot of confidence again tonight.
They are, Chris, and the thing about them is they're so...
Wow. The Pack. The frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. 15 below wind chill. The Rams, doink, out! It was this sort of day for them in Green Bay. But the Rams lead at 7-0 early. The pitch to David Lang. And he just turns the corner, and he just goes all the way. But Terrell Buckley, with an Olympian effort, knocks it out of bounds, and they only get a field goal. It's 10-0 Rams. But soon, the Pack warm up. Darrell Thompson. Look at him skate to the post. Yes. Touchdown, 10-7, L.A. Still in the second. The blitz, and Jim Everett throwing off his back foot in the end zone. Picked off by Terrell Buckley. And you know what kind of athlete he is. He's a great pace athlete. He can run. He can skate. He can dance. He can long jump. He can pole vault. And he could go all the way for a touchdown. Great play, 14-10 Pack.
First, a great over-the-shoulder catch by Buckley. Then he looks back to the inside of the field, makes a nice cut there, and then starts to pick up the Pack blocking that eventually gets him into the end zone, Chris.
So Terrell Buckley, big headlines one day, but the headline man this year, Sterling Sharp. With this reception, 100, only the 6th man in NFL history to catch 100 balls in a season. But forget the celebration. Brett Favre back to pass. Scrambles, buys time. Sharp is open. 21-10 Ram. At 21-10 the Pack. How's he get open, Tom?
This is great savvy by Sterling Sharp. Waits for Todd Light to look back for the football, then dashes for the corner of the end zone. Favre finds him.
Still the second quarter. Favre, the screen to Darrell Thompson. And where are they? It's cold out. No one wants to tackle him, and a big gainer for Darrell Thompson. Then Favre. Say you can't rocket the ball? Hey, they play in Green Bay. Zip. Never this cold at Southern Miss for Favre, but look at the effort by Sharp into the end zone. Look at him, Tom.
We talked about it all day. The key to his football game, great hands, but then look at the strength as he muscles his way into the end zone.
Sharp, 8 catches, 110 yards, all in the first half. A great day for Sterling, up to 102. Second half, the Rams couldn't hold on to the ball. Jim Price was not right. On the next drive, Everett to Jeff Chadwick. They had their chances. And for Chuck Knox, get me on a plane. Give me to Southern California, LAX, please, nonstop. Hey, the Packers, 6 in a row, the longest winning streak they've had since 1965, when a guy named, Lombardi was coach. 28-13. What a job by Mike Holmgren of the Packers, up at 9-6. But, and we'll unfold all the scenario later, they could end up 10-6 and not make the playoffs. Shades of '89, one of Lindy's early years up there when they didn't make it at 10-6. But the Packers are still alive. Tommy, it's 5 catches next week, and he breaks Art Monk's single-season record of 106. Already the second most catches in a single season, although Charlie Hennigan and Lionel Taylor did theirs in a 14-game season. Still, the C note is the C note. Congratulations, Sterling. You are awfully sharp. San Diego Chargers and their defense under Bill Arnsparger need a new nickname like the No Name and the Killer Bees. We suggested Arnie's Army. But when you get a call from one of the people or the Chargers by Bill Arnsparger called us saying, hey, I don't want to take all the credit. Give my players the credit. Who do we respect more than Bill Arnsparger? Nobody. Okay, Bill, Arnie's Army, that's out. Now we're going to call the Chargers defense Poltergeist because they are your worst nightmare. And against the Raiders, they were back. But it was the offense that did the damage today for San Diego. Ex-Buffalo Bill Ronnie Harmon having a great year. gets down to the 37-yard line.
He puts an outstanding move on a great DB here, right here, does a 360 on Ronnie Lott and goes down the sideline.
Raider defense was on the field in the first quarter, 13 minutes and 43 seconds. That's called a long time. 6-0 for Bobby Ross's Chargers in the second quarter. Let's pick it up, and Stan Humphries does just that. Anthony Miller. Last year, it wasn't a big year, but boy, what a different a year makes for this Pro Bowler. 13-0 against Al Davis's Raiders. Still in the second, the Chargers at midfield. Humphrey, play action, going deep. Nate Lewis, wide open, touchdown. 20-0, lightning bolts. Stan Humphries, what a year he's had since learning the offense here. And Junior Seau sacks Jay Schrader.
Here you see Seau lined up, and he just blows right by Mosbar. Look at the intensity in the eyes. Focuses. Got a lot of strength.
There's a double focus, I think, Tom. Schrader back to pass. And Chris Mims. Mims the word. The rookie makes the sack. Vince Evans got some time late as Schrader was benched. And the Chargers say, hello, Vince. Leslie O'Neal playing at defensive end like he did in his rookie year before the knee injury. 16th sack of the season.
Yeah, O'Neal here beating Greg Skrepenek to the outside and then just pounding down on the quarterback.
Junior Seau can do everything, Tommy.
Yeah, Junior Seau shows you why he's such a great linebacker with a great movement in the defensive backfield. Then shows you the good speed. Don't celebrate too soon. Making his way downfield. Has an awful lot of athleticism, Chris.
So do the Chargers, and Al has seen enough. He's gone. The Raiders are long.
It's the popular pick to repeat as Super Bowl champions, but injuries and inconsistent quarterback play brought the Redskins to Week 17, needing some help to get into the playoffs. Their chances would be alive regardless of today's result, but they were out to win their 10th of the season, then hope for the best. Against the Raiders at RFK, a shaky start for Raiders quarterback Jay Schrader. Throwing poorly. His pattern breaks off. Bad communication with the receiver. It was Sam Grady, and it's only A.J. Johnson back there to pick it off, and Schrader gets benched with Washington up 3-0 at the half. Second half, Vince Evans comes in. He's looking for Alexander Wright. Deep down the right side, he has got it in a jump ball against Johnson, and the Raiders lead 7-3. On the ensuing kickoff, the Raiders get fancy. They're going to try the onside kick, but it is a recovery for the Redskins in Raiders territory. 2 plays later, Mark Rippon goes up top. Art Monk, I don't have it. You got a match, Art? Yeah, right here in my pocket. And it's a touchdown of the Redskins lead. Raiders come back in the fourth quarter. The dart down to Alexander right down at the 6-yard line, rolls to about the 4. Nick Bell turns the corner left side, gets inside the pylon, and the Raiders are up 14-13. Final 3 minutes. Rippon going deep to Monk in the seam against Torin Dorn. Gets thrown down at about the 1 line. Redskins would lead 20-14. Final minute. Evans going deep for Willie Galt. He is between Darrell Green and Danny Copeland. Big gain. And then Evans looks end zone. Tim Brown is there. And a man who earlier fumbled in the game comes back and scores what would prove to be the winner after the extra point. And the Raiders beat Washington 21-20 in what to a lot of people is a real shocker. Joe Gibbs' Redskins only 2-2 this December after that long record of excellence. It's their first non-winning December since 1988 when they were.
He can turn the trick. With a win over the Vikings Sunday, the Packers would be in the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. Now, much of their success has come through the play of the quarterback who spells his name like it is not pronounced. Chris Mortensen has the story.
It's Favre, right?
Favre. It's, I don't know. You know, it's hard to explain. It's F-A-V-R-E, but it's Favre.
Brett Favre is what I call him.
Perhaps he should be called Favre. Favre was a much talked about junior quarterback from southern Mississippi, but before his senior year, Favre suffered serious injuries in a car accident.
30 inches of intestines were removed, fractured vertebrae in my back, lost 35 pounds.
Favre returned to the Golden Eagles much earlier than expected, and sluggish play saw his stock dropping. After viewing film, pro scouts would come away lukewarm until one day, Favre received a favor.
As I returned to tape downstairs, there was an older gentleman down there who said, "Have you seen Brett Favre's tape as a junior?" I said, "No, sir, I haven't." He said, "You better look at that because of his condition." And I had forgotten about the fact that he had had stomach surgery and all that. So I went and looked at it, and sure enough, it's a dramatic difference.
Because the Jets did not have a first-round pick, the Falcons were able to grab him before New York in the second round. But Favre's fun-loving lifestyle didn't fit even Jerry Glanville's plans, so he was shipped to Green Bay for the number 17 overall pick this past April.
Some people here thought you gave away too much for a second-round pick.
No, they sure did, and I think we've kind of proven them wrong.
It didn't start that way, though. After Don Majkowski went down against the Bengals, Favre came in, got a bit confused, and proceeded to call wrong formations in the huddle.
Hey, I made some plays in that game I didn't even know I could do. I mean, it's a bad place.
I was fairly vocal with my coaches on the phones, you know. What is that? What's he doing? I don't recognize that. Can we do this? Do we have that play in?
It was awful to watch it. Fumble snaps, throws. There was no one in the area. It was just...
And then he won it at the end for us with a couple of great throws.
You're from Kiln.
Right. K-I-L-N. You know, it's pronounced kill. But, you know.
Population?
They say 50, but it's a lot more than 50. It's actually, I would say a few thousand. It's bigger than people give it credit for. It's a great town.
So the boy from the small Mississippi town has landed in the league's smallest market, and with Sunday's win has led the Packers to their longest winning streak since the first Super Bowl season. The Falcons did Favre a favor beyond a playing opportunity. A rose is a rose.
If he'd had this type of success in Atlanta, it could be, you know, Deion Santa Claus and Brett Favre on a commercial together, where as far as this Brett Favre and he's in Green Bay, and I think he's having a lot of fun.
I was sitting here for a reason, and things are working out. We're winning, I'm playing well. So I've just got to keep that in mind every day. And each year and each offseason is just prepare, because it's working for me. I think the town is working for me.
Like old QT to me. There's a doctor's report in here, too, if you'd like to see that. Not a very pretty sight, is it, Sheriff? I disagree. You disagree? Uh-huh. Pictures that show welts and bruises that you willfully and maliciously inflicted on a man?
That's right. I might add, I've seen a better looking behind than a hog.
I don't like your humor, Pusser.
Well, that's too bad.
I am O.Q. Teal's court-appointed attorney.
Congratulations.
I want to explain something to you. When I take on a case like this one, I receive, as you well know, far less than my usual fee. Now, the reason I do this is because I feel that volunteering for public defender is a civic duty. Now, you can believe that or not as you will. I really don't care which.
Okay. I believe it.
Well, then make whatever connotation you want on what I'm about to say.
What do you want?
I want a professional, helpful compromise on behalf of both parties.
Would you get to the point?
What I propose is this. You drop all the charges against O.Q. Teal, in return for which I will not press a police brutality complaint against you. Be reasonable, Sheriff. Try and achieve a little perspective.
No.
No what?
No deal.
Sheriff, I have very strong political connections. And your office for sheriff is up for election very, very soon.
I said no deal.
Do the words cruel and unusual punishment mean anything at all to you?
You're damn right they do. And why don't you explain them words to old QT as little boy?
I just hope you remember what you said to me when they're counting up the votes on Election Day.
I remember.
Damn, Buford. Knock coffee up my nose?
Mm-hmm.
How you getting on?
Oh, I'm getting old.
Ain't we all?
Yep.
You making it?
Just barely.
Honey, bring Buford a tab.
Trying to tell me something?
Buford, I ain't telling you to get the tab. A little stocky? Yeah. You ain't get the tab.
What do you want to see me about?
Well, you know that place called the Corners down this side of the state line in the west part of the county?
Sure, it's no county.
No, it used to be Hardin County. Then it was McNairy County. Then it was Nobody's County. Kind of a no man's land. They sent some commissions down there. They couldn't come up with anything anybody would prove.
So what's the problem?
The problem is we got a joint down there opened up called the Three Deuces. And they pushing the booze and the women and the gambling just like they always have. County district attorney has already told me it's not my county. If I go down there to bust it, I get my ass in a sling.
So you want me to go down there and get my in the sling? That's what you want? I can't do it, Clegg. I'm up for election next month.
Buford, I didn't ask you to go down there.
You didn't?
No, I didn't. I just said, if you happen to be in that neighborhood, you might step in and pay them a visit. Just a friendly visit.
You did. Who's the man behind it?
Well, the fellow that owned the property is the local guy. Man's name on the lease is an outsider.
His name wouldn't be John Witter, would it?
Nope. John Smith.
John Smith.
Good old John Smith.
Mm-hmm. Tell you what, Clegg. I think I'm just gonna go on by that tonight and check it out.
I appreciate that, Buford.
I know you would.
You got your car keys in your pocket?
What?
Ain't that your car moving out there?
Damn right it is.
Buford, that's my car. I know it. Now get in.
Baby. Now get out of there. Good. Well, I swear. Y'all been drinking? Have you? Yes, sir. Oh, I thought y'all had better sense than that.
Buford, you know these boys?
Sure do.
I want them. Put them in my jail.
Well, you can't have them.
Why can't I have them?
Because we're in McNair County now.
We started in Hardin County.
I don't care where we started, Clegg.
We started in my car. Took me 6 years to talk them fellers into giving me that car. Now look at it. We've been through the weeds and through the woods, through the ditches. Ain't nothing working on it but the red light. We've come through the barn.
There's a new kind of cowboy out there, and that's why McDonald's is grilling up a whole new kind of steak. McDonald's new grilled steak sandwich. And right now, it's a great McDonald's value you can't pass up.
The skies over Baghdad have been illuminated.
F-15s, their afterburners blowing.
We saw the bomb come down, we saw the flash, and you just heard the explosion. Now the sirens are sounding for the first time. There was a terrible pounding going on. The ground literally shakes and rumbles. I'm going to back away from the window now.
Military convoys on both sides of me. We're being told to get off this platform.
We've got to run. Somebody's knocking on the door. John and I are going to hide. It has been a long night for us, a night none of us will ever forget.
Sunday morning on TBS, World War II. In the wake of Pearl Harbor, one battle will decide the war in the Pacific. Henry Fonda, Charlton Heston, and Glenn Ford.
Let's get to that.